What's up everyone, it's Sean here. So with 2017 underway, Adidas has ushered in a bunch of new takes on old silhouettes. So I like to call them the leaders of the new school. So today I'm going to be giving you guys a head-to-head comparison between three of Adidas's top silhouettes. So I'm going to be breaking down the NMD PK R2 against the Ultra Boost 3.0 against the Pure Boost 2017. So the way that I'll be doing this is I'll be comparing each shoe against each other on a scale of 1 to 3, and I'm going to be comparing them across a wide variety of metrics. So to start it off, let's talk about the price. The NMD R2s come in at a price of 220 Canadian dollars. This is compared to the Pure Boost 2017, which is supposed to have a retail price of 200 Canadian dollars when they drop on February 1st. And lastly, the Ultra Boost 3.0 rounds out the three at the highest price of 240 Canadian dollars. So between the three, I gotta be giving the NMD R2s 2 stars, the Pure Boost 3 stars since they are the most affordable option of the three, and the Ultra Boost comes in at last place with 1 star for being the most expensive option. Next up, let's talk about the comfort of each shoe. So for the NMD R2, as far as shoes with boost technology goes, this shoe isn't the most comfortable shoe out there. First off, this shoe does not come with an insole, so you are going to be missing that additional padding that insoles typically provide you. Also, despite the fact that this shoe has the thickest amount of boost on the midsole compared to the 3, the fact that there is this foam block on the medial side of this shoe really restricts the responsiveness of the boost on this shoe. So instead of feeling that bouncy feeling, this shoe feels a lot stiffer on feet, and it's definitely the least comfortable shoe of the three. The Pure Boost is a pretty comfortable shoe. So they've taken the old Pure Boost, which was a pure lifestyle shoe, and totally redesigned it to make it an actual running shoe. The Pure Boost feature a full-length Boost midsole, and despite the fact that it also doesn't have an insole, the boost on this shoe is a lot more responsive than the boost on the NMDs. So when you wear these, you do feel that nice, squishy, bouncy, responsive feeling that we've grown accustomed to for Boost shoes. For the Ultra Boost, not much needs to be said. So for those of you who have worn a pair of Ultra Boosts, you guys know just how comfortable these shoes are. But for those of you who haven't, let's just say that this shoe's popularity is driven not purely through hype, but it actually is a game changer. So when people talk about how comfortable a sneaker can be, this shoe really changes and elevates that conversation and sets that standard that much higher. So in case you're wondering, how do these compare to the Pure Boost, because they both do have this full-length Boost midsole and they both don't have that plug on the medial side that the NMDs do. So these ones are going to be more comfortable than these. So when I say that, I mean the Ultra Boosts are going to be more plush, they're going to be more bouncy and more responsive. The Pure Boosts, on the other hand, are going to be a bit firmer on feet, and they're not going to be quite as responsive compared to these. So at the end of the day, it's really up to your personal preference. So I just want to make it clear that I do prefer the cushioning setup on these overall, but if I am expected to be on my feet, for example, for 13, 14, 15 hours in a day, then I would probably pick the cushioning system on the Pure Boost. These ones, if I wear them too long, I'll feel a bit of that fatigue on the arches of my feet because the cushioning setup is almost too soft. So overall, with all things considered, I do give the NMD R2 1 star, the Pure Boost 2 stars, and the Ultra Boost 3.0 3 stars with respect to comfort. So next, I'm going to be evaluating the three shoes in terms of their style and the overall appearance. So note, this is a very subjective area, and I'm sure the majority of you out there probably disagree with my ranking, but hear me out. So first off, with the NMD R2s. So these, design-wise, are a major upgrade from the NMD R1. So some of the key features that have been changed are there are no more eyelets on the shoe. The laces actually weave through the actual prime knit material. And then most of all, the biggest change is that there are no more blocks on the lateral side of the shoe. There only exists the one on the medial side. In terms of the overall silhouette of this shoe, as I mentioned earlier, I do find that this is a step up from the R1. The only thing that I'm not crazy about with this shoe is these diagonal lines found on the prime knit material. So if this silhouette had the prime knit pattern of the R1, this shoe from a design standpoint would probably be at the top of my list. The Pure Boost, when you compare it to previous iterations of the shoe, are much improved from a design standpoint. The design team at Adidas was able to redesign this shoe in such a way that it became not only a much better performance sneaker, but at the same time it still retained that whole lifestyle and casual wear essence that the original Pure Boost had. From a pure design standpoint, my favorite things about this shoe are the 3 stripes found on the lateral side. I do like the use of the rope laces, and I do like that this forefoot area is much wider. So by increasing the width of the forefoot, this gives it a much more aggressive looking stance. On the flip side though, some of the things that I'm not too crazy about are, number one, this heel counter that's split into 2 pieces on the back heel area. Having these 2 random blocks on both sides just kind of looks a little odd, and I think this shoe would have looked better if this heel counter started from the top of the midsole, as opposed to just having these 2 pieces just randomly floating on the back area of the shoe. Also, I'm not crazy about how the outsole arches up and into the Boost midsole, and I think the shoe would have looked a lot cleaner, a lot simpler, and overall just better if the outsole was flat as opposed to raising up and kind of eating away at the Boost midsole. The Ultra Boost 3.0 looks pretty similar to the 1.0 and the 2.0. The major change with the 3rd edition of the Ultra Boost is, first off, the prime knit. So with the Ultra Boost 2.0, we had that gradient looking print, but they've replaced that with this. So for this, it features this raised prime knit material that has these vertical lines running up and down the prime knit of the shoe. So personally, I much prefer the prime knit on the 3.0s than compared to the 2.0s. Overall, I do still rank them as 1, 3, and then 2, but I think this is an improvement over the 2.0. The only other change from a visual perspective is this midfoot cage. One of the major criticisms that a lot of the Boost fanatics have about this edition of the Ultra Boost is the cage. For me, I am kind of on the fence. So while they're not absolutely horrible, I think the shoe would have looked a bit better if the midfoot cage was made of the same TPU material found on the heel counter. So if the cage was a pure black similar to this would have made the shoe a lot more uniform looking and overall just better. But overall, those are the only 2 changes from a design standpoint that Adidas has done for the 3.0 Ultra Boost. And obviously, it's no surprise that Adidas wasn't really messing with a successful formula. As this is a very subjective sort of category, I did end up with a tie. So the NMD R2s, I give a 2-star rating, Pure Boost, I give a 1-star, and the Ultra Boost 3.0, I give also a 2-star rating. So the next category that I'll be evaluating the shoes on is the fit of the shoe. With the NMD R2s, if you haven't worn these do run true to size. Compared to the NMD R1, which ran a half to a full size bigger, they've corrected this issue and these are much better fitting than the previous version. However, there is an issue with the medial block. A lot of people have expressed discomfort from the block because it's so big and it runs up so high. A lot of people have said that it actually digs into the medial side of their foot. So when I tried these on, I didn't feel that digging sensation. I won't lie, I could feel that block sort of touching the inside of my foot, but it wasn't to the point where I would say it made the shoe uncomfortable. And aside from the fact that this shoe runs true to size, the use of this prime knit material, which is very flexible, does make the shoe very lightweight and it forms very well to your feet. So if you try these on and this block doesn't bug you like it doesn't for me, I'd say that this shoe fits very well. For the Pure Boost, these do run true to size, so I got them in the same size as my NMD R2, the same size as my Ultra Boost 1.0 and 2.0. So these ones do run a little bit big. I wouldn't say that they run that big that you would have to go a half size down, but if you are kind of in between sizes, so let's say you're a true 10.25 and you're debating between a size 10 or going up to a size 10.5, then I'd recommend going to the size 10. If you are wearing these to run in and you do wear thicker socks, for example, then I would recommend sticking with your true size. The Pure Boost feature this circle knit material, which is sort of like prime knit, but it's not as soft, it's not as flexible, and you can kind of feel that when you wear this shoe. So it's going to be a bit more scratchy feeling, and it's not going to form quite as nicely to your feet. The heel area is padded, so it does give you a nice lockdown on the heel, and this wider stance in the forefoot does make this shoe very stable. So overall, it does fit pretty well, despite the fact that they do have this circle knit, which doesn't feel quite as good on your feet compared to prime knit that's found on the NMDs and the Ultra Boost. Last but not least, we have the Ultra Boost 3.0. So these ones do run big. So the Ultra Boost 1.0 and 2.0 I bought in my true size 10.5. For these, I had to go down to a size 10. So the big issue with these is the prime knit material on this shoe. So the prime knit on this is very flexible, very thin. So especially in the toe box area, your feet are going to be swimming if you go with your true size. If you are a fan of the fit of the 1.0 and 2.0s, these ones are not going to fit the same way. So as I mentioned before, this prime knit is a lot thinner and it's a lot more flexible. So just as I put my hand in there, and you can see just how much it moves with the motions of my fingers. So you can imagine if you have your toes in here, it's not going to really hold down your toes and it's going to feel a lot more like there's nothing there. This shoe is going to give you ample padding around the ankle and the tongue, so it does give you nice lockdown in the rear end of your foot, but not so much on the front area of your foot. So overall, in terms of fit, I give the NMD R2s 3 stars. So that's because of the fit being true to size, for it being nicely fitted around the entire shoe, and I personally didn't feel the discomfort that others have been saying about this medial block. The Pure Boost I give a 2-star rating for being very well locked down in the heel area and for being relatively true to size. The Ultra Boosts come last with 1 star for being just way off from a fit perspective than I was used to with the Ultra Boost 1.0 and 2.0, and for me personally, the prime knit was a little bit too forgiving and I wanted something a bit more constricting in the toe box area of my foot. The last category I'll be evaluating the shoes on is the quality of the materials. So for the NMD R2, as I mentioned earlier, this shoe features this prime knit upper, it features this full length boost midsole, a rubber outsole, and suede accents on the heel. I'm not sure if this should fit into the category of quality of the materials, but it's more of a lack of materials issue. So again, the NMDs would have been a lot better on feet if they did have an insole. So that's kind of something that I took into consideration when comparing the 3 shoes. The Pure Boost, as I mentioned earlier, is made up of this circle knit material, which is a lot scratchier, it's a lot less flexible than prime knit. It features also a full-length boost midsole, it features this webbed black rubber outsole, along with TPU accents along the back heel area, as well as these rope laces. So again, the material on these is good, but it's not great. Having prime knit on this shoe would have made this a much better shoe overall, and including a insole in this shoe would have really set this shoe on a much higher level. Also, the outsole on these, despite looking like the Ultra Boost outsole, is not made up of continental rubber. So I'm not sure about the durability of this, but it is a step down from the materials found on your typical Ultra Boost outsole. So last we have the Ultra Boost. So these feature a full prime knit upper. It features these TPU midfoot cage and heel counter, a full length boost midsole, and this continental rubber black rubber outsole. Unlike the other 2 shoes, these do come with a insole. There were no construction issues with this shoe. Didn't really notice any glue stains, didn't notice any loose threads on the prime knit. Overall, just very solidly built, good quality materials. To rank the 3, in terms of quality of materials, I give the NMD R2 a 2-star rating, I give the Pure Boost a 1-star rating, and I give the Ultra Boost 3.0 a 3-star rating. So that wraps up my comparison video of the NMD R2s, the Pure Boost, and the Ultra Boost 3.0. So in the comments below, let me know if you guys agree or disagree with my evaluation of the 3 shoes. If you guys have a different opinion, I definitely want to hear what you guys think of the 3 and which is your personal favorite. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and give me a follow also on Instagram at SGO8. Until next time, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.